At least 6 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on central Gaza early Tuesday, according to officials. The strike hit an area of Deir al-Balah where displaced people were living in tents, killing 2 women and 4 children. It comes as negotiators meet in Doha this Tuesday, seeking to finalize details of a ceasefire deal. There were reports of a midnight breakthrough on an agreement, which would see the release of a number of hostages from Gaza and then a halt to fighting. Emerald Maxwell has more.
She was freed from Gaza more than 400 days ago, but her partner, along with dozens of others, are still in captivity.
My soul is still there, tied to my promise that I will do everything to free the hostages still being held. As long as I haven't freed them, I cannot truly begin my own rehabilitation to heal my soul.
Ilana Grzycki was one of 105 hostages released during a 1-week truce in November 2023, the only pause in fighting so far. Now, with international mediation efforts again appearing to inch closer to a ceasefire agreement, she says it's time to turn promises into actions.
Put pressure on both sides, pressure on Netanyahu and Hamas to end the war in exchange for all of our hostages, to bring back the living so they can heal and the murdered so they can be properly buried.
Israeli and Palestinian officials described progress in talks in Doha, mediated by Qatar, and attended by envoys of both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Trump's January 20th inauguration is now widely seen in the region as a de facto deadline.
Progress had been made, and I hope that within a short time we will see things happening, but it is still to be proved.
But the Israeli government faces pressure from its hardline nationalist wing, including from Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who vowed to oppose the emerging deal, calling it a national security catastrophe and saying now was the time to open the gates of hell on Gaza until the complete surrender of Hamas. Hours later, in an emotionally charged encounter, angry hostage families confronted Smotrich about his position, accusing him of abandoning the remaining hostages.
Well, for more on this story, we can bring in Nomi Bar-Yaacov, who's an associate fellow at Chatham House's International Security Programme. Thank you very much for speaking to us on France 24. You have extensive experience in complex ceasefire and peace negotiations. In your view, how likely is it that we get a truce in the coming days?
Highly likely this time. And I think the difference this time from previous times is that Donald Trump, the elected president who's coming into office on Monday, the 20th of January, which is very soon, is exercising the leverage that the US has over Israel. His envoy, Steve Witkoff, was in Israel a couple of days ago, and he basically said to Netanyahu, you've got to take the deal. So yes, Netanyahu is facing opposition. This is the same deal that has been on the table since May with minor tweaks. It could have been settled a long time ago. It could have been settled a very long time ago, meaning also before May. But there have been extensive delays and many spanners have been put in the work. And now I think, yes, it is going to happen. I would say definitely so.
All right, well, if we can then briefly look ahead to after the war. In your view, what role could Israel potentially play in a future Gaza? Who's in control?
Well, I don't think going to after the war is a bit too soon, slightly jumping over too many hoops. This is a very complex deal, as you said. Ceasefires are complex. It's a 42-day deal only for the first stage, in which 33 hostages are going to be released and around 240 Palestinian prisoners, including a large number of prisoners who've been sentenced for life for killing Israelis. So I think what role Israel is going to play has not been decided. It has been that what is currently being negotiated is when and where Israel will withdraw from, because the withdrawal is gradual. And in this current deal, over 1 million Gazans will be allowed to return to the north, which is groundbreaking, given that Israel had said that it will not allow Palestinians to return north of the Netzarim corridor, which severs the strip into two. So I think what role Israel is going to play remains to be seen. It very much will depend on who will fill in the vacuum, which states will fill in the vacuum to support the Palestinians to self-govern. At present, there is no governance. It's total chaos and a very dangerous situation. So this is very welcome news, and this is the first step towards, hopefully, stability and ultimately, hopefully, peace.
What can we make then of Benjamin Netanyahu's pledge to, and that of his war cabinet, to eradicate Hamas? I mean, what really were they trying to achieve by that? Do you think that that would have been feasible?
Well, I think Hamas has been dealt a very severe blow. The entire leadership has been killed, and its military arsenal has been virtually dismantled. They have pockets of rockets here and there, but nowhere near what they used to have. And I don't think Hamas poses a threat to Israel. So I think Netanyahu can definitely say that he has achieved that goal. What he cannot say is that he's managed to return all 254 hostages live. And at present, out of the 98 hostages that are still in Gaza, he's only agreed on the first stage, which is a stage where they're committing to release 33 hostages over a period of 42 days. So that, again, it is fraught with hurdles. We know from the previous deal of November 2023 that it got busted. It didn't work because Israel said that Hamas had changed the list of hostages. Here, there is a list, but it's not known who is dead and who is alive. And it was part of Israel's requirement before a deal was going to be signed that Hamas will provide a list of who is dead and who is alive, and that hasn't been done, but that will not stop the deal from moving forward. But again, there are plenty of hurdles along the way, and we have to be very cautious about the success of this deal. And hopefully the idea is that after 16 days of this deal, the second stage, whereby a further withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and the remaining hostages will be released. And that very much remains to be seen, because it is not a secret that Netanyahu would like to continue with military action. And it is also not a secret that Trump would like to see an end of this, and he's going to exercise unprecedented leverage in this particular phase, leverage we did not see the Biden administration. Sadly, we did not see the Biden administration exercise this leverage.
Right. And do we think that if this ceasefire deal is signed, do you think that that will calm conflicts on other fronts, for example, from the Houthi rebels in Yemen?
Yes, I think so. I think if it is signed, we saw in November 2023 that when, during the period of the ceasefire, Hezbollah in the north halted actions. It was pre-Houthi violence. And I think, yes, I think that during the actual period of the ceasefire, we're likely to see less activity. I'm not suggesting that there will be no activity, but hopefully we will see less activity. The Houthi is a very complex issue, and that remains to be seen. I'm not sure how much they listen to any other country, meaning to their sponsors. Iran, and I don't know, Iran has been severely weakened, so it's not clear how Iran will act in this case. But certainly, I'm not foreseeing any military action aimed at Israel during the actual period of the ceasefire.
Right, and just if we go to the Israeli army for a moment, some troops have actually spoken out about the army's conduct in Gaza, saying that it crossed ethical red lines. Can we envisage any internal consequences or even a potential reform of the IDF after this?
Oh, that's real wishful thinking. Reform of the IDF, rules of engagement in particular, would be welcome. There is a tremendous amount of malaise and evidence coming out and soldiers speaking out, and I'm sure that many of them will continue to do so. Whether it would lead to trials, undoubtedly. Whether it would lead to a total reform of the IDF remains to be seen. There is currently an extremely right-wing government in place in Israel that is not likely to want to carry out any such reforms. Post-elections in Israel, if the opposition wins, you're likely to see reforms.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. But Nomi Bar-Yaacov, thank you very much for your analysis. A reminder that you're from the International Security Programme from Chatham House.